Let's talk now to Steve Feldman, who heads up the Zionist Organization of America, the Greater Philadelphia chapter. We're going to catch up on some of the Israel issues. Not that there have been huge headlines, which is always a good thing when Israel is concerned, but just a lot to catch up on the last month. I think he's my first Jewish guest since I've come back. I've gone through about six. This is now my sixth guest, none of whom is actually Jewish to this point. But, hey, Steve, how was your holiday season, everything like that?
Everything was good. I really enjoy the holidays very much.
You were up in the Philadelphia area.
You have to compromise a little bit, but scheduling issues, but they're a pleasure. Thank you. How about yours?
They were good. The scheduling issues were such that we 3 out of 4 weeks didn't have Thursday and Friday available. We have the high holidays on those days, which means getting ready on Wednesday, which is basically a huge part of why we haven't done this show for like over a month. In fact, you were on the last show I did, which would have been the 14th of September, and then I did that from Memphis. But yeah, holiday season.
Thank you for having me back on.
Okay, so let's talk about Israel.
There is always Israel news, by the way. But
I know. I'm just saying, any huge headlines, which often means terrorism and things that are very not good for Israel or the United Nations.
Well, there was a stabbing attempt today, and Syria is making mischief, and Iran is making mischief. So there's always something. Yeah.
Oh, there always is something, of course. Okay, so let's catch up a little bit on the biggest issues on your mind and ZOA's mind right now.
Well, it's a new year, and we are kicking off our 120th anniversary celebration and events. There's going to be really an extraordinary gala/dinner, the annual Brandeis Award dinner on November 12th with truly an amazing lineup. Bernard Henry Levy, Senator Cotton, Senator Lieberman, Steve Bannon, the Adelsons, Dr. Bob Shillman. I'm just going from memory now.
Oh, this is in New York, right? I've been to that.
It's in New York. It's going to be a remarkable lineup, and I encourage people to go. It's going to be a lot of people there, and wonderful, uplifting speeches, I'm sure, and as it always is. So,
wait, I'm
so that's
to be
one
in the
thing.
Northeast, then. Wait, I got to make a point.
I'm sorry.
I'm supposed to actually be in the Northeast for a week or two because I like fall. I like the colors up there. I'm actually going to be up there. Who knows? Maybe I'll go. I just thought about that right now. I didn't even think about it. But I got to point out something. The one time I did go, which was maybe, I don't know, what was it, like 8 years ago, was fascinating to me for a reason. I don't remember if you were at that one, but do you remember the time there was someone who was not scheduled to speak who basically took the microphone and insisted on speaking? You know who I'm talking about.
I do, but I'm not going to go there.
I'm not going to let you comment, but I got to tell the audience, the person with that kind of chutzpah, we didn't know him as we do now. Who was the person who did that? He said, I don't care if he was being called out. I remember someone said, tell that to Obama when he was talking about being Democrat and pro-Israel. Only one person would have that much gall. That person was Anthony Weiner, and I won't make you comment upon that. But
no, I'm not going to comment on that.
I will say from one Jew to another, I do have to make a comment. 120th anniversary, you know very well that the real big gala should have been 2 years ago because we Jews like the number 18, and I know ZOA is open to non-Jews as well, but 118th probably is a little more appropriate than 120th.
Shall you live to 120?
That's
Adam?
True. Oh, yeah, but then ZOA is not planning on disbanding after this gala.
We're not. No, we've been around long, and we're still going strong. So
remind people of the history of it. So this started a little bit after Herzl, I guess.
It started not too long after Herzl. Believe it or not, it actually has its roots in Philadelphia. There was a meeting at I don't want to really bore your listeners from outside of the area, but at a small synagogue in I guess you would call it Old City. Near the historic area. The synagogue is still around today.
Wait, is that B'nai Abraham?
After 100. It's Kesher Israel, historic congregation, Kesher Israel. And that's where a group of American Zionists gathered not too long after the Basel Convention. I believe they gathered in October, and he was in August, if memory serves me correct. And so we're going to be celebrating that all year in Philadelphia. We're going to be having an event in December actually also commemorating the 100th anniversary of the Balfour Declaration. There's a lot of milestones in the year 57, 78. The anniversary of the partition, Israel's 70th anniversary, a lot of big anniversaries. So it's going to be an event, a year, hopefully filled with a lot of celebrating and good events and a lot of good advocacy work on behalf of Israel.
Wait, the Balfour Declaration was 1918? Wasn't it during World War I?
1917.
Yeah, that's
November
what I thought.
2nd.
It was to get some
So the 100th anniversary
Jews,
is this year, next month.
Because some would say the Balfour Declaration was to curry some favor for England during the World War I effort.
Well, there's a lot of analysis about that. There's a lot of revision and a lot of wannabe revision of, especially among the Arabs and the Muslims about Balfour. And of course, the Palestinian Arabs have been after Britain to apologize for the Balfour Declaration. And I've actually been in touch. There is today a Lord Balfour, and I've actually been in touch with him. So I don't want to give away too many details about our event, but it's gonna be really cool here in
One interesting point I often make about World War I is that the Germans in World War I were not the Germans in World War II. It's not like they were a genocidal totalitarian state. And I often say, especially before the U.S. got in the war, that the Central Powers collectively, the Jews were treated better in Germany and Austria-Hungary than in Tsarist Russia, still anti-Semitic England, and I'm blanking on his name, post-Dreyfus affair France.
I believe that's correct. Not that things were wonderful,
but they were pretty good.
But if you're going to compare, my understanding of history of that period, Russia obviously was very, very bad. Certainly, as the royal family and the king was winding down, and the revolution, and things are really bad for Jews. Earlier than that, I think from my history,
worse a few decades before that, probably.
They were worse, around the time of the First Zionist Congress, because actually Russia sent the largest number of delegates to Basel to attend the conference. Of all the nations in the world back then where Jews lived, Russia sent the most.
Probably had the most Jews too. I mean, given that Poland was part of Russia at that point.
Maybe, it could be right. But so there's a lot to commemorate and a lot of work to do to keep Herzl's dream going. And there obviously is a modern state of Israel now, which he envisioned and which Lord Balfour promised. But it's something that always has to take work. It's not something that the Jewish community and people who care about Israel can just kick back and say, well, Israel's there now, so our work is done. Our work is not done. It's really just beginning for each generation, has to keep it going.
It never ends. So what stories would you say are the most important ones in the news over the last couple of weeks, including now?
Well, certainly President Trump's decision not to recertify the Iran deal and to have sanctions against the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps are very, very significant. Things winding down in Syria with ISIS and all that is very significant. There is a lot of friction within the Jewish/pro-Israel community that needs to get resolved. Those are issues that...
Can you talk about that one a little bit? The friction going on?
Sure. It is a touchy subject. There are both religious and political issues that are causing friction, and at least certainly in the political realm, the religious realm is a little different and not really where my expertise is, but in the political realm, I'm kind of a not a big tent guy and not a all opinions are equal kind of person. I mean, everybody's entitled to their opinion, obviously, but I think support for Israel and a strong, secure, thriving Jewish state of Israel, I don't see personally, and again, I'm speaking personally now, a lot of shades of gray there. I think either you support what Israel is doing and the steps it has to take to exist in that neighborhood in peace and in security, and to have a strong economy, a strong country, economically and culturally and what have you. I think it needs to do things, and I think that makes some people uncomfortable. There was an announcement that Israel is allowing the building of 31 residential units, houses, apartments in the ancient Jewish city of Hebron. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure there's some people in the pro-Israel community who are unhappy about that. Stop making waves, stop upsetting the Arabs, et cetera, et cetera.
Let me go biblical for a minute here and just point out that we read, and this is related to Israel's current situation, I think maybe 2-3 weeks from now, in the Torah about Hebron, that Abraham basically bought a plot of land in Hebron, and of course there's no
we have the deed. We have the deed. It's called the Torah. So every time I see a news media outlet referring to it as the Palestinian city of Hebron, I just want to cringe and scream, and but cringing and screaming don't help. So we need to try and educate people in the media about that. So getting back to what we were talking about. I just think that needs to be supported. I think Jews have a right to live anywhere. To say that a Jew has a right to live in New York but doesn't have a right to live in Hebron is very disturbing to me. So issues like that cause friction. I think the people who call themselves pro-Israel need to get on board with that, because if you're a lawmaker, let's say, and you're trying to be pro-Israel, and a pro-Israel group or people from a pro-Israel group or even just individuals come in or call and, we want the congressman to support this or not support that, and he or she hears from, one side that says, yes, support the Jewish communities in Judea, Samaria. Jews have a right to live, wherever Jews want to live. And then the next day or an hour later, somebody else calls or comes in, or another group, no, we oppose that. It's really tough, I think. I mean, look, a lot of lawmakers are sophisticated enough to really know what's going on and don't really need that, although we all do it. But I think, there is this, which group of Jews, which Jewish opinion do I go with and support as I, take to the floor of the House or the Senate. So there's a lot of issues there, I think, that need to be resolved. There's a lot of people, not a lot, but some people who are looking for, who are pro-Israel, looking for compassion for the Palestinian Arabs and supporting them. And I don't wish any individuals who are not involved in terrorism harm, but poll after poll of the Palestinian Arab population by Palestinian Arab pollsters shows certainly a plurality, and in some cases a majority are in favor of violence still, things of that nature that, you got the Palestinian Authority that just is entered into a unity agreement with Hamas. So there's a lot going on that makes me, again, speaking personally, not want to have so much compassion for people that are terrorists, support terrorism, reward terrorism, vote for people. There's been an election there for quite a while, but, again, the polling shows who they would vote for political parties, terrorist groups that support murdering Jews. So
democracy.
I personally...
It should be pointed out that democracy isn't always such a great thing when the population really supports it.
Well, I mean, I don't think that's a democratic issue. The old line, and I forget who said it, sometimes democracy is, one person, one vote, one time. There hasn't been an election there since, I think, 2004, 2005. Mahmoud Abbas, everybody's favorite moderate, is, I think, in year... 12, 13 of a 4-year term. And then you've got Hamas, which is, very upfront in saying they're committed to the destruction of Israel, the murder of Jews. And why would a so-called moderate group like the Palestinian Authority / Fatah want to be in a unity agreement with such people? So there's a lot of questions there, and there's a lot of reason not to support the Palestinian Arab enterprise right now.
Do you think a lot of it is just groups don't want to make waves? They want to be part of a group. They want to feel like they're doing something for Israel, and they don't want to take any tough positions. I mean, I don't want to call anyone out by name, and I know there are other pro-Israel organizations, but they don't necessarily take as big a stand, and they want to feel like they're going to a big conference, but, you know, they don't want to offend anyone, and they want to feel like they're doing something. And I know ZOA takes the tough positions, and I'm not even talking about J Street, which is a total sham. Call them out. But you know what I'm saying here, Steve.
I know what you're saying. Look, ZOA and our national president, Moore Klein, have never been skittish about saying what needs to be said. We are an organization that deals in truth and reality, and we analyze things, and Mort makes decisions, along with our national board, based on rational, critical thinking and analyzing the situation fully. So let's say that up front. What other groups do and why they do them, I don't know. I think every group does things for their own reasons, but certainly what ZOA has come out against or in favor of, as the case may be, time has proven us correct, if not 100% of the time, pretty darn close. Israel is an issue because it's always facing existential threats and other threats that I don't think people who care about Israel should pussyfoot around.
Right.
I think things need to be said. Strong positions need to be taken because, first of all, there's so much misinformation out there in the media and academia and in the so-called town square. So I think you have to take bold positions. I think you have to educate people. You have to say things that might be unpleasant, not because they are innately unpleasant, but because sometimes only one or two voices are saying them. It's, it goes back to the old fable of the emperor's new clothes. Sometimes someone has to have the courage to say, and we're not talking about a wardrobe now, we're talking about really existential threats or people who mean Israel harm or the Jewish community harm. Sometimes someone has to step up and say, wait a minute, that's wrong, you're wrong, here's why. And conversely, someone who might not be popular, who we know from our dealings with these people are doing the right thing, we have to say, wait a minute, this guy or this woman is a good person. Stop attacking them.
Absolutely.
So we do both, and I wish more groups, individuals would do that. And, it's tough. It's not easy. Again, because of what I said a minute ago, because of all the misinformation and the lies and the propaganda. Everything is out there, and there is, I guess, a groupthink mentality. Absolutely. To a certain degree, but we don't practice that, and I'm proud to say that and be a part of it.
And Steve, on that note, let me just let you give people information how they can follow you, and also about the event coming up in New York in a few weeks. So let's leave with that.
Sure. I'm going to give out two web addresses. First is for National ZOA. They've got all the information about the Brandeis dinner and everything that ZOA is doing, and that is www.zoa.org, and we're also on Facebook. And for Philadelphia area people, it's Philly, PHILLY.ZOA.org, and we're also on Facebook. And thank you for the opportunity, Adam.
Okay, thank you, Steve.